Hello everyone, and welcome to the series premiere of Star Trek Adrastea. My name is ELH, and for once I'm not the Game Master, so this is weird. Peter, Petrus Aquinas, will be our Game Master for this series, and that means he gets to do this opening narration, so Peter, take it
Huzzah.
away.
Hello, hey everyone. I am Peter, Petrus Aquinas, as you heard, and we are beginning Star Trek Adrastea. So, for some context, I guess, we are in the year 2382. So, if you're looking at your Star Trek timelines, we are a year after the current season of Lower Decks, about 7 years after Nemesis, but before any of the live action stuff that happens later. So the Dominion War has happened. We have some fallout from that. Our crew is at a new starbase, Starbase 911. They have discovered an Iconian gateway that leads to the Delta Quadrant, and that is where our crew is going to spend a bit of their time, probably most of their time. That's what I got in my brain for all of you. And so let's introduce players and characters. ELH, you get to start us off.
All right, well, if you don't know me already, I'm ELH. Usually I am the Game Master, but today I will be playing Captain Ash, a cornet, and is going to take after Kirk in that she's going on away missions because I said so.
I don't know how we're laid out, so... Oh, but yeah, go ahead.
Sunday, also known as Jeff. I am playing not your lovable Boolean helmsman, but the Vulcan Doctor, Commander Dr. Velik.
That's very important. It's Commander Doctor, not Commander.
Commander
or Doctor.
Doctor.
Commander
I
Doctor.
earned that degree, damn it.
Last but not least, your spy.
I'm Jeremy, or you're a spy on the internet, and I no longer have to worry about the captain's insistence on going on away missions. Instead, I'm playing our ship's intrepid chief engineer, Commander Akorum, a half Bajoran, half Cardassian.
Very nice. All right. And with all that being said, let's hit that opening title.
And we're back.
Right. So, as is the tradition on this channel, we begin with a player with an opening log. And since it is the first episode, ELH, you have the honor of Captain's Log.
All right, let's see if I remember how to do these. Captain's Log, Stardate 59932.1. I've been here at Starbase 911 for the past week, going over briefings with Admiral Taggart, and I must say I'm rather eager to begin my mission. The Adrastea, my new ship, is going to be going on good old-fashioned Starfleet deep space exploration and diplomacy. And we've got some nice sensors and a whole lot of interesting toys that we're going to be using in exploring the Delta Quadrant. Now, the whole reason we're even able to do this is thanks to an Iconian Star Gateway, at least that's how we're calling it, that was only discovered about a few years ago. I've looked into it a little bit, but I must be honest, the engineering principles and science principles go over my head. But that's why I'm the captain. I can delegate. Now, our first mission, once we're through the gate, is we are going to be sent to Velandria to negotiate with the Velandrin after a botched first contact. Apparently, the crew of the Shepherd didn't do a whole good job there. It's a bit muddy. I'm still reading the briefings about it, but from what I understand, they're a warrior race, so we should get along famously. Apparently they're matriarchal, they're lizard-like, kind of similar to the Gorn, but we'll see what happens when we get there. Other than that, I'm eager to meet my first officer and the rest of the senior staff. And, oh, by the way, Mother, if this ever gets to you for some reason, I told you I'd make captain one day. End log.
Excellent. You can have a momentum for that.
Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. So, Captain, you are walking down the gangway to the Adrastea. And at this point, I think we're going to have the two other characters meet you at the entrance to the ship, if that works for you two. All right. So you approach the airlock. The doors open. The bosun's whistle goes off, and you see before you your two crew members. Your first officer is standing off to the side, Commander Shrolin, an Andorian. So I guess take it from there.
All right. I'll go first since I'm the one taking the lead here. Captain Ash is a cornet, looks just like my avatar. About 7'5", if it matters to you. Has back spines and the whole 9 yards. Red skin, sort of facial tattoos that look like tiger stripes, that sort of thing. When she looks down, at the other three, it's not with disrespect or, I would say, authority. It's more of a, oh, hello, you're new, if that makes any sense.
Doctor.
Captain, welcome aboard. We are pleased to have you finally come. Does this mean we're ready to set out on to the gate?
My understanding is that after a round of quick checkups on the ship, we are setting out immediately. But for the people at home, what does Commander Dr. Velik look like?
You take the actor Billy Zane and put a Vulcan haircut on him. You got Commander Dr. Velik.
Got it.
About 6 foot tall. He is a little bit more pasty than a normal Vulcan, probably from being all the time spent indoors.
Captain Ash's attention turns to our engineer, Commander Akorim.
Welcome aboard, ma'am. It's good to have you. What do you want to see first?
Well, I mean, that's a loaded question. I want to see everything. It is my first ship.
Yeah, but you can't see it all at the same time unless you got more eyes than I can see.
Well, that's what they joke about with these back spines. We keep them around so we have eyes on everything, but they're just a pain in my ass, let me tell you.
Yeah,
Let's see main engineering first. I always like to see to the heart of the ship.
Understood, ma'am. Do we want to let the XO get done with all of that XO stuff first?
Oh, yeah. And I look at the Andorian. Oh, wait, real quick, Akorim, what do you look like?
I would say that Akorim tends more toward the Garrick-looking half Bajoran, half Cardassian, rather than the much more, muscular and physically fit, other Cardassian military officers. So he's a little bit. He's let himself go a little bit, but other than that, he looks odd because he's not quite Cardassian, but he's not overly Bajoran. It's that weird kind of meld that you see in Seal.
And then
it's hard to describe.
No, I know your pain. And then I guess finally Captain Ash looks at Shrolin.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Pleasure. I understand that you are going to be serving as my first officer.
Yes, I shall be, Captain. This is my third assignment as a first officer, so whatever you need.
Well, I'm going to warn you now. I'm going on away missions, and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
I'm not entirely sure how to take that, sir.
Well, you could try to punch me. That is typical when dealing with my species.
I will take that under advisement.
And I do one of those, like, brotherly or sisterly, like, pat on the shoulders. I think we're going to get along just fine.
Sherlin definitely has, like, a big grin on his face at this point.
Does this mean I'll have to increase the medical supplies needed to treat injuries resulting from physical combat?
I mean, that's just standard issue, because one of my first acts as commanding officer, I look at Trollin, I want us on a 4-shift rotation, and I want weekly calisthenics mandated among the crew.
Weekly calisthenics.
Well, do you think daily would be better?
I would not be opposed to daily, but I can imagine a few crew members, Chief Adao being amongst them, who would complain rather bitterly.
Vulcan eyebrow raises.
And I smile at Commander Dr. Velik. I mean, would you recommend daily or weekly?
It would depend on the individual.
Hmm.
And if you wanted to get the, I saw this one time, weaker members up to a higher standard, it would be an increase, but it have to be moderated and monitored.
What about you, Commander Akorum? Any thoughts?
I believe I hear engineering calling my name there, sir.
You
wish
kind
to
of
see
turn
me in
around
engineering?
Yeah, let's go to engineering. Let's check it out.
So you all kind of walk down the hallway to a turbo lift and go down the few decks to main engineering. The turbo lift opens up, and you see kind of a I guess if you're familiar with the TNG films, you see a smaller version of the engineering space from the Enterprise E Sovereign class. So you got some engineers running around doing some checks on some systems, checking the various consoles. Yes, you walk in. The warp core has been started, so that thrum is going on. The lights are pulsating through the room.
Oh, I would have asked. Do you want the whole attention on deck thing there, sir? It is your first time.
Nah,
Here.
let's not stand at ceremony.
Sounds good, sir.
So,
Or ma'am. I would have said ma'am.
Either's fine.
so the engineers kind of like, some of them notice you, some of them don't.
Well, everyone's going to notice when I yell at them, carry on, and wave at them to carry on.
You hear a voice from a panel to your left. Was gonna do that anyway, sir.
Of course you were, Chief.
Glad we're on the same page.
If we weren't, it'd be a problem. This is the captain.
You see a human woman kind of poke her head around the corner. Hi, Captain.
Hi. Looks like you're restricting the linear Verteron distortion manifold again.
I see you know a little bit about the engine room. Impressive.
I mean, it is my first command. I did do a little bit of reading.
Well, that's good. Some captains come onto ships knowing absolutely nothing.
Well, don't you worry. I'm going to be delegating a lot to engineering.
And she
Oh,
looks
Lord
at,
help us. You'll have to work there, Chief.
how's that new? And she pops back behind the corner.
I like this one. This one's got spunk.
Well, never boring there, sir. Anything you'd like to see in particular? We're not normally powered for our class, nothing special there, but we've got some redundant power systems. Hopefully that'll keep us in the fight for longer. And we can be configured for other missions, but as you no doubt know. But right now we're at our base configuration, so nothing special engineering wise or otherwise.
Well, hopefully it doesn't come to that where we have to fight our way out of places, but you never know. It's good to be prepared. Speaking of, I look around the room. I can't help but notice you don't have a phaser locker anywhere within immediate grabbing distance of the main MSD table here. We might want to fix that.
Absolutely, sir. Only reason we don't have it right now is I don't trust the chief there to actually keep her hands off of it.
That was one time.
I'll remedy it, sir.
Very good. And then assuming Schrolin's still following us, I say,
He is.
just for a point of order, first officer, I do want phasers to be within reach of the crew at all times. Something I observed on my previous assignment was that whenever we were quote-unquote boarded during the simulations, the crew response time was woefully small. Or woefully large, I should say.
Understood, sir. Most corridors have them, but I will make sure that they are present in each major duty station.
Wonderful.
Sir, do you want ready lockers or do you want armed personnel on station?
No need to get any of the Makos involved. Let's just make the lockers for the time being.
Understood.
And then I turn to Commander Dr. Velik. Commander Doctor, have you been in sickbay long?
No, sir, I have been quite well.
Oh, I see what you did there. Well, I would like to see your sickbay next.
Yes, sir, we'll take you to main sickbay, and we start walking and trying to make small talk very badly as we go. So your trip to Adrastea was uneventful?
No, unless you count the one time that the instant piloting the shuttle decided to do a loop-de-loop around Starbase and, singing some horrible song from the old days.
Did he lose power?
Twice.
Seems I've heard something about similar situations.
Seems to be a theme.
Here we are, sir. Main sickbay. We have it arranged. It doesn't include the increases for increased physical activity for calisthenics and physical combat, but we will get on that right away.
Now,
We're also capable of using the holodeck or the cargo bay, Captain.
Very good, very good. And Peter, just for my mind's eye view, are we talking like a Prometheus-style sickbay? Are we talking a Voyager-style sickbay?
We're talking more in the lines of a Prometheus style, I believe.
Okay. So I just kind of take a look around here at the single operating table, and then I say, computer, please activate the EMH.
And EMH shimmers into existence. It is the Robert Picardo-looking version. Please state the nature of the medical emergency.
No medical emergency. I just wanted to make sure you were working just in case.
Well, I can assure you I am functioning within normal parameters.
EMH, approximately how many times can we push the button and you appear, but we not have an emergency before you stop coming?
I do not know.
We'll run a test on that, sir, until we come up with an answer.
Why would you want to continuously turn me on?
Well, I hear some people are into that. Very good, EMH. You may deactivate yourself now.
Thank you. He disappears.
It's, for those who don't know the Cornet, and this is in character, for those who don't know who the Cornet, it's kind of a thing among my species that we don't really like holograms, but I'm trying to buck that notion.
Make sure you don't have to go to sickbay when the doctor is out.
Well, I believe I've seen most everything unless we want to do a tour of the cargo bays, the science labs, and all that, but we do have a mission to get to. How quickly can we be underway?
We urge your coming, sir. Engineering-wise, we're ready to go.
The rest of the crew is prepared, Captain.
Then I believe it is time to head to the bridge.
All right. If you'll follow me, and Sherlin leads you to the nearby turbo lift, and orders it to the bridge, and you all reach deck 1. Turbo lift doors open, and you see it's not like a massive bridge. It's not a huge ship, but kind of a kind of a sovereign-ish layout with 2 front consoles and some on the sides, kind of pointing all towards the center view screen with back consoles. 3 chairs in the middle. If you've seen Lower Decks, we've gotten a cartoon version of this. So yeah, you have boarded the bridge of the Adrastea for the first time.
Take a look around, taking a big breath of air. This feels good. This feels good. It's been a while since I've had that dream of sitting in the command chair, and now I finally get to do it. And I kind of walk around the bar there and take a seat in the chair, kind of settle in and go, comfy. So I pull up that little console on the armrest. I am noticing a 0.5 second delay on the readout here, Chief.
Let's take a look, sir. I will investigate and probably make the first roll.
Yes. If you would give me an insight in engineering, difficulty of 1.
I will do that.
This is totally not my way of buying off that complication that chat bought us earlier.
Oh, I had an idea, but if this goes poorly, we'll see what happens.
I do have my tricorder and my engineering toolkit on me.
Okay.
Inner determination.
Yeah, first roll.
I do have that, yes.
You need to use that on the first roll, but
Start off right.
I'll give you a thread.
Nice.
Let's do it.
All
Old
right.
engineering.
All right.
Aim before double 20s.
Let's see. Oh,
Hey.
okay. So you get two momentum. So you find a slight glitch in the ODN conduits behind the small panel. It should be quickly tweakable by a hider spanner.
Yep. Pull one right out. Just take the panel off. Fix it. Try again, sir.
Yes, that appears to be working. Thank you, Chief. And I actually should ask,
Happy
do you
to
prefer Commander or Chief? Because I sometimes do it interchangeably.
Whatever strikes your fancy in the moment, sir. Just make sure I know that you're actually talking to me.
Ah, yes, I will resort to the hey you and look at you sternly.
This works.
Well, I believe it's time to get underway, but I believe there's a tradition. I have to do that whole captain's monologue thing as we set off from Starbase. Computer, confirm that I have command access to the Adrastea.
And this is where I'm going to use my complication. The computer makes that weird squawking noise where it heard you but has no response and didn't compute.
Computer?
Same sound.
Well, Commander Corum, it seems we have another issue.
It does indeed, sir. I will storm over to the engineering console and see what we got.
So you have an intermittent, you have a major computer connection failure on the bridge. I'll just tell you that. But it appears that someone in engineering got a little excited about reconfiguring something and forgot to configure it back.
I'm going to type on the console as if I am diagnosing the problem, and I'm going to send a text message. I'm going to message the chief down in engineering and say, "You better darn well get that put back together right now. You have 30 seconds before I start talking."
Right. You get a single letter K back.
In the meantime, I've got the diagram of the computer core up and the ODN conduits between here and there. Plinkety plunkety.
About 27 seconds later, you hear one of those power-up noises just at your console. Clearly, it's been targeted just for you to hear, but lights start popping up on your screen that things probably should work now.
And I will arbitrarily reset the connection between the bridge and one of the computer cores.
Okay.
There we go. Computer verify audio input functions.
Audio input verified.
Give it a shot, sir.
Computer?
The normal sound goes off.
Please open a channel shipwide.
The bosun's whistle goes off.
This is Captain Ash to all hands of the Adrastea. It is my absolute pleasure to be serving with such fine officers and enlisted. It is my goal as your commanding officer to do what Starfleet does best, to lead you on scientific missions, diplomatic envoys, the whole 9 yards. But one thing I want to make clear on the outset is that space is a scary place, and all we really have are each other in this journey. I encourage you to have good relationships with each other, your commanding officers, and myself. And the schedule is still in the works, but I do want to maintain an open door policy that if at any point you feel necessary to bring something to my attention, there will be a method for you to do so. Other than that, please prepare all hands for departing station.
Computer consoles start buzzing as all departments start reporting readiness. Trollin looks at you. All departments report ready, sir.
And then I do the Picard maneuver, and then I look down at my shirt and I go, I gotta figure out something new to do with this. Helm, take us out 1/4 impulse, please.
Helm officer presses a few buttons and the ship starts moving quickly out of the space dock. So the Adrastea kind of gracefully moves out of the space dock, and as you kind of turn, you see hovering over the planet that the starbase is orbiting is a giant ring, which you all know is the Iconian Star Gateway to the Delta Quadrant.
And I suppose as that shows up on the view screen, I just go to sit back down and put a hand on my chin and go, wonder how we missed that the first time we surveyed the planet.
There are mysteries, Captain, that sometimes just don't have answers. Maybe they had a bad sensor glitch. Or a chief.
No, I think Commander Akorum's doing the best with what they have. Well, Helm, set a course for the Star Gateway. Let's ramp it up to 1/2 impulse.
Few buttons are pressed. Helm also sends the activation codes and coordinates to the gateway, and you see it start to light up around the ring, and then all of a sudden a wormhole vortex appears in the center of it as your ship approaches.
Now, out of character, was anything in the briefing about there being a transition effect or something I should be aware of, or is it kind of just a smooth journey?
It's pretty much a smooth journey.
Okay.
So there isn't a noticeable transition effect unless you're super sensitive to that sort of thing.
Ooh, sounds like somebody should redeem a complication.
Please don't, says Akorum's poor brain.
Well, as we start to approach, I say, all right, steady everyone. My understanding is that this should be a smooth transition for everybody involved. And then, we...
Yep, and the ship just kind of gently approaches the event horizon, and for a very brief moment, the view screen turns a bright blue, and then you're suddenly on all the stars are different, and you are no longer above a planet.
And then I tap my little command console. Astrometrics, can you confirm we have arrived in the Delta Quadrant, or we should be?
Astrometrics confirms, Captain. We are on the far side of the Delta Quadrant.
Wonderful. That's exactly where we should be. I was hoping this wouldn't be another Voyager situation or a Cisco situation with the whole wormhole thing. I'm getting into the weeds. Helm, how long will it take us to arrive at our destination?
It'll take us a few hours, Captain.
Very good. Set a course then for Velandria and leisurely warp 5 unless you believe it should be quicker.
I don't see a reason for it, sir.
Very good. Please execute.
Helms officer enters the coordinates and engages the warp engines.
And then, just for housekeeping, Dr. Velik, have you been on the bridge this entire time?
Wanting to see the transition through the gate. Velik would be up there.
Then I turn to Commander Dr. Velik and I say, Commander Doctor, question for you. How much do you know about the Velandrians?
Very little, sir. Just what I have read in the briefs and what I can find in the database. It's very little. Just a bad first contact.
Well, since you are going to be coming down on the away mission with me, it probably is important we go over those records together. Also, Commander Akorum, you will be joining us as well.
Understood, sir.
And then, let's see, got my doctor and science covered, got my engineer. What am I missing? Oh, right, security. Well, first officer, do you have a security officer that you'd like to send with us?
Yes, Captain. We can send. We can send a security officer with you.
Make sure they're not in a red shirt.
Ah, that old legend.
It's not a legend.
Oh, isn't it?
Well, I can assure you that on a Cornet ship, wearing red is a symbol that you're going to die.
Remind me never to board a Cornet ship, as he points to the red collar that he's wearing.
I knew I picked the right track.
Just mess with you, first officer. It's actually a sign of respect, and I mean, we're red. Look at me. If we were wearing red, I'm getting into the weeds. Well, if anybody needs me, I'll be in my red room until we arrive.
All right.
And I have an ELH I need to turn on and off again.
And as soon as the captain leaves, I'll ride down with the doctor.
Okay. So you guys are in the turbo lift descending. Are you going to sickbay or are you going to engineering or?
I'm going to engineering.
Okay.
So, Commander, I don't know if I have your full medical records up to date, and based on your unique physiology, I definitely want to have you come in for a physical to make sure those records are as current as possible.
Absolutely, Doc. I'll definitely get that on the calendar. I hit the stop turbo lift button and get out. I think I need to take care of something on deck. What is it? Oh, deck 7. And walk out of the turbo lift.
That is very convenient. I will schedule that as the doors closing. Oh well.
I will wait a little bit, and then I will go find another set of turbo lifts and get myself down to engineering.
Oh, so you're avoiding the doctor.
It's a maritime tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Peter, make sure we schedule a physical for Punjabi so we can reestablish our baseline records.
reminder established. Oh boy! So I see a physical coming in the not too distant future.
I see a daring engineering coming in the near future on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
So, Doctor, is there anything you want to do in sickbay before we get there?
Wanted to call up the EMH.
Please state the nature of the medical emergency.
There is no medical emergency, and I get ready to push the button again to deactivate. Levity is something I've been trying to work on.
So you wish to test your humor on a hologram?
It works to a degree, but I would never do that to what I consider to be a sentience. But I would like to sit down and establish different protocols that we together can run this operation as smoothly as possible.
I will happily discuss protocols with you, Doctor.
And that's what we'll be doing.
All right. So you are discussing medical protocols with the EMH for the few hours that you are in transit to Velandria. And then names again. Akorum, are you doing anything in engineering or anything specific?
Talking to Chief Adao about playing with ship bits right before we launch.
Yeah, she's not exactly repentant, but
Then I call up to security and have them send me a phaser locker. Matter of fact, I send Chief Adao to go get it herself.
what? Why don't you send one of the lower crew members to do something like that?
I don't know. Sorry, can't talk to him. Computers don't work. You heard the captain.
There's a huge sigh as she makes her way off to security.
The captain was trying to verify whether the captain was the captain of the ship, and the computer was like, "Oh no." It was not good.
Yeah, but it got fixed. Manually press the button. There you go. All right, so now you have some peaceful alone time in engineering without the chief.
Now I'm going to put my cheerful demeanor aside and very briskly go through engineering, making sure that nothing else is broken.
Nothing else appears to be broken.
Great.
Keyword appears.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I also check. I also do actually pull up the console real quick to make sure that the captain is in fact the captain of the ship. That would suck.
Oh, that the command codes did verify and all of
Yep.
that. The command codes appear to have fully verified.
Excellent.
So yeah, everything looks to be how it's supposed to be working at this point. So there was just that one glitch. You think that's it?
Sure. I'm sure that's the only thing that's going on. In that case, once I'm sure everything's working, I will probably go to the shuttle bay and tinker on shuttlecraft.
Nice.
And as you leave, you get a chime on your badge. Just a little reminder chime that you get saying, "Please schedule your physical with Commander Dr. Velick at your earliest convenience."
Not going to respond at the moment. He'll think of something suitably insidious to do with that later.
Oh boy. Right. Captain, is there anything you're doing in the ready room that you wish to expound on, or are we good?
Just setting up the ready room so it looks more presentable. Maybe adjusting the desk so that there's more space for visitors rather than giving the captain room, very Spartan kind of aesthetics. Though one thing of note, I did bring a lizard. It's about maybe the size of about 2 feet, maybe what is that, 3/4 of a meter long. It is a blue colored hue of scaling, and it kind of looks like a horned lizard here on Earth, but just bigger and beefier. And instead of the Picard fish tank, I just have kind of a lizard enclosure for it.
Very cool. All right. So you guys spend the next couple of hours doing those few things. And then you all get alerted through from Helm. Coming up on Velandria, sirs.
Well, I go to the
Thank you,
bridge.
Bridge. I also go to the bridge.
All right, so Captain, you walk out onto the bridge. Shrolin gets up from the center chair and moves over to the first officer chair. You go and sit down there. A few minutes later, Akarim arrives on the bridge. Doctor, are you coming to the bridge? Or are you staying at sick bay?
I'll sit down. Sick bay.
Okay. All right. So as you get on the bridge, the ship drops out of warp, so everything slows down on the screen, and you see in the distance an iron green planet with 2 moons. Well, there it is, sir. Velandria.
Now, out of character, well, maybe half in character and out of character. Do they have any starships in orbit?
Not that you see yet. But if someone wants to give me a science plus, hang on, that's the ship.
No, I got you. If it's a sensor science,
yeah, it's a sensor
for the
science,
ship,
so
and then it's reason science for whoever's doing the roll.
Yep. So reason science roll. If you want the ship to assist, it's sensor science.
So, Jeremy, do you want to have the honor of the ship, or should
2.
I take that?
I can do the ship. I've got it up.
Okay, so
All
difficulty 2. Do we have an NPC for this, or should we just bring in the doctor for this?
I don't currently have a science officer NPC.
I'll be up on the bridge.
Okay.
I'll make one for next time.
Something I have. And would botany, xenobiology, virology,
Probably not.
astrophysics?
Astrophysics might, since you're able to scan like anomalies in
I'm a unique
space.
doctor.
What we're looking at?
And it's a difficulty.
Difficulty of 2.
I will use 1 momentum for a 3rd dice to activate my. No, that's cautious medicine. Anyways, I'll still do 3 die.
Well,
Hey.
you got 2 back.
All right, so you get 2 momentum back anyway. Okay, so you see, it's the reason that it didn't come up is that the power signal is very faint, but there is a satellite system that seems to be around the planet that is. It's not entirely clear what it's for yet, but there might be some sort of defensive shielding that it's for, or that sort of thing. But there's a satellite, basically, shell around the planet.
And this wasn't in any of the previous reports.
No.
Get up from looking in the sensors, very Spock-like pose, come up, look at the captain. Fascinating. There appears to be a satellite network ringing the planet, possibly providing some type of shielding. This wasn't in any of the information that I read on the planet, the previous first contact reports, or anything in the database, to include the Vulcan Science Academy papers.
My concern is that it might not just be defensive, it could be offensive as well. Out of character, real quick, did Taggart give me any guidelines of how second contact should go?
His guidelines were you might need to be a little bit aggressive.
Okay.
Try not to start a war.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, he kind of let you go. You kind of got the feeling that he just wanted to see how you did.
Okay. Then, if everybody's okay with me spending 2 momentum, I would like to create the advantage that we have a known frequency to contact the Velandrians on, and that this is one that they'll actually respond to instead of ignoring us.
Okay. Yeah, that'll work.
So I just sort of motion over at comms and I say, let's get a channel open.
Of course. Channel open.
Velandria, this is Captain Ash with the Federation starship U.S.S. Adrastea. We'd like to make amends for the terrible mistakes of our first contact with you. Let's just say that we had an idiot at the helm, and we'd like to fix that. And if you don't want to talk to us, we'll understand, but let's just say the weapon gifts that I've brought to make this exchange a little bit more pleasant, well, they'll just rust and go to no use. But we're here at your disposal.
Comms panel beeps. We're receiving a response, Captain.
On screen.
The screen comes up, and you see it's kind of dark, so it's not very well lit. There's a lot of shadows. You can barely see the people in the room, but there's definitely 3 of them. And the center one begins to speak. Captain Ash, you are from the Federation.
Last I checked.
And you return to speak with us.
Unless you'd like to fight. I mean, we could totally fight if you wanted to.
She laughs a little bit. I approve of this attitude. You may come to our station. It is on the far side of the planet.
Very good. Send a set of coordinates and we'll be there in a jiffy.
We shall send some fighters to escort you as well.
Oh, well, I hope they're better than your satellites.
You get like this kind of tense silence. They are powerful enough, Captain.
Let's hope we don't have to test that.
Very well. I look forward to meeting you.
Likewise. And then I do that cutting calm motion with my hand.
And
Well, they
the screen
seem like
goes black.
lovely people.
Gifts of weapons?
Yeah, I mean, didn't you read the briefing? Commander or Admiral Taggart gave us a whole locker full of Lurpas.
It's not as bad as I was thinking.
I mean, what would you think we were going to give them phasers?
That's what I was hoping we were not.
Coram, you look like you have something on your mind.
I think it's hilarious, sir.
Well, let's hope that attitude maintains. Helm, once we get our pathetic fighter escort, and I make sure I'm laughing as I say that, make sure that we follow all the customs and the guidelines they sent to us.
Aye, sir.
Maybe we'll go add more medical supplies to deal with slashing and blunt force trauma injuries.
In the meantime, I would like to actually dig into the sensor records of these satellites and of the fighters when they come.
And of the fighters. Okay, the fighters are approaching at this point. So you are able to get a little bit of a scan on them. So I would like, if you would, give me a insight and engineering difficulty of 2, if you want to scan these things.
Are you taking the advanced sensor suite into account?
Remind me on that one.
The vessel's sensors are among the most sophisticated and advanced available in the fleet. Unless the ship's sensors have suffered 1 or more breaches, whenever a character performs a task assisted by the ship's sensors, they may reduce the difficulty by 1 to a minimum of 0.
All right, difficulty of 1.
All right, what's the ship rolling? Sensors engineering or sensor security?
Sensors. Let's do sensor security for this one.
I'll grab the ship since you're doing the roll.
Okay.
Well, no help from the ship, but we still got 3.
Yeah, and you still got a momentum. All right. So you scan the fighters. There's nothing terribly interesting about them. They do have about mid to late 23rd century technology, though, which is a little bit newer than what you were expecting.
So they have phasers and not lasers.
They have phasers. Yes, they could, if there were enough of them, they could do sufficient damage to your ship. Might take a bit, but they could do some damage. You were scanning the satellites as well, right?
So, yeah, satellites and
Okay.
Fighters.
The satellites, in addition to being able to be a security field, you detect emitter arrays on them. They seem to be able to work together to fire a rather large energy weapon that would be a bit of a punch to the Adrastea.
I will pass this to the captain's console without comment. Like,
Look
not
down.
verbal comment. I'll just pass it over.
I look down at my armrest as the data comes across, and I again put a hand on my chin, and I go, interesting. So, I wonder why they built this so quickly. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, and this is an open question to the bridge. First contact was what, 5-6 months ago? Sooner? Later?
Approximately, sir, yes.
And they've built all this within that time frame. Either the shepherd really spooked them, or something more is at play here.
Do these systems look similar to other systems that that we or our computers are aware of?
Not precisely. There's a little bit of similarity in some power systems to your own, but not something that's too outside of the ordinary.
And how, based on micrometeoroid ablation and things like that, how long have these actual, well, no, not micrometeoroid ablation. We know how long they've been there, unless the shepherd was really that silly. I'm trying to date these to see if they and also see if they came from here. Or
Oh yeah, you're trying to get like a chronoton trace on them.
Yeah, or or basically carbon dating, which I'd have to shoot it. I figure, but so I'm not going to do that. But,
a tachyon scan might get you something. So,
well, we do have advanced sensors. So, hey, Doc, I wonder how old those are. Like, we theoretically know how long they've been here. I wonder how old they are. You got any way we can tell that?
Not really my area of expertise. However, we could always, like, I think you said, shoot it to find out. Shoot a probe, or the scans. Tachyon.
Oh, I meant yeah. Tachyon scan might do it.
Would they be able to detect that? And how would they react?
They probably would detect active scans.
Oh, okay.
But
well, then I guess based on micrometeoroid abrasion and things like that, are these new or second-hand systems?
They are new.
Are they from what we've already gotten? Can we get a metallurgical breakdown to see if they're from the local planet or nearby?
From the spectral analysis, they appear to be from the planet.
But they do appear to be made locally or fabricated somehow locally.
Still, to launch that many network so quickly?
Agreed. Do we know if they have replicator technology?
Last you heard from the shepherd, probably not.
But I'm curious. Are they uniform to the point where one would expect that they were the components were cloned or replicated, or are they different enough that there could be they could have been machined?
They're different enough to have been machined individually.
Well, it doesn't look like they were replicated. At least not en masse.
Do we have any indication of their industrial capability and the people to work together in such a scale to put together a satellite network this complex and this large in that short amount of time?
From what you know of Velandrin culture, which is obviously is very little, they appear to be very, very well organized, almost militarily across the entire planet. And so if they put their minds to something, they they would devote all resources to an activity.
Oh, maybe they were, the proper term, spooked by the Shepherd's arrival earlier and created a means to deter further visits.
Still, from what I read of the mission logs of the Shepherd, it wasn't that disastrous, but I suppose we'll find out when we get to this station.
Did they have space fighters before?
They did, not as advanced, but they did have space vehicles.
So these are even more advanced than 5 months ago.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
they
I'm
are.
how good as a very skilled small craft pilot, how good are their fighters? I'd like to make an insight con to see how good they are, see how familiar they are with their equipment, see how good they are at being space fighter pilots.
Okay, I'll give you that for a difficulty of 1 if you want to roll.
Okay. I have a specialty in small craft operations.
That works as a focus.
As a small craft pilot.
One success. There you go.
Okay.
The ships seem to be handling very smoothly. So they seem to be very well constructed and tuned. So
How are
they're
the
not haphazard
pilots?
engines. The piloting
they-
seems to be decent. You wouldn't put them on par with, like, Starfleet combat pilots, but they're not bad.
Okay.
All right. Further questions?
Well, and Chief, it would be hard to determine biologically that a alien species would be able to assimilate new skills in the same manner that we are accustomed to. Their highly organized structure could allow them to take on new skills and master new skills in a much faster period of time.
Absolutely, Doc. That's certainly the case. Just trying to establish a baseline, or find a weakness, which there doesn't seem to be one, other than being overall weak.
Right. So at this point, the fighters have been escorting the ship for a little bit. As you crest the horizon, a rather large space station appears in front of you. It's kind of got a central core and 3 arms sticking out. It's got kind of some spikes on the top of it. So it's not quite Klingon space station-y, but it's leaning in that direction.
Does this track to the Shepherd's previous visit?
No, this is much larger than what the Shepherd saw. And you get a little bit of a transponder readout, and it appears to be identifying itself as the space station Vigilance.
On a lark, I would like to reference the nearest Starfleet time beacon.
Okay. What you looking for?
We haven't been moved in time, have we?
No, the time beacon matches up with your internal chronometers.
Has a time beacon been moved with us?
Yeah, that was my next thought. But and this far out, it wouldn't be able to reach the rest of the network necessarily.
I'll give that with your advanced sensor suites, you are also able to, like, distantly ping the gateway, and it appears that you are in the same time frame as the gateway when you left.
Yeah, and I don't verbalize any of that. That's just I'm gonna check this real quick. Was this space station towed here? Like, does it have? Is it ionized in such a way that it was towed here, possibly surrounded by shields or a warp field, or does it look like it was built here?
It looks like it was built here.
Oh, well, that's certainly a thing.
What's the thing, Chief?
How long would it take us to build? Okay, first off, does this appear to be a renovation of an existing station, the one a station that was here before, or is this a new construction?
The central core may be like the top command center sort of area might be original, but the rest of it's new.
As an expert in this stuff, how long would I think it would take to actually do this?
Based on their technology, you think that this should have taken like a year and a half to 2 years to build.
Well, unless the shepherd just completely did not keep track of everything that was here, they should not have been able to build that based on their current level of technology, at least in the time it took.
Maybe they had outside help.
Was my thought. It was built in orbit, so it wasn't towed in. I don't want to actively scan it, but based on passives, because scanning the things we know about, right? The satellites and the fighters is one thing. Pinging their massive space station might be a bit aggressive. But does this appear to be? Does this appear to match the kind of? Does it look like the tech that the fighters and the satellites are?
Yep, it seems to match.
Okay, so it's okay. So it feels that there's a through line there.
Yes, there is a through line here. There's weapon emplacements and those sorts of things. It definitely matches the sort of, things go pew and enemies die. So, okay.
Are they? Do they have a docking location suitable for us?
Yes, on the far end of one of the arms, there is a docking station that can match up one of the side airlocks on the saucer. So you're guided there by the fighters. Line up with the dock, and things seem to go off without a hitch of latching to the station.
Commander Dr. Velik, Commander Quorum, you're with me. And then, we're about at that time. Do we want to take a break here and come back?
Yep, I was going to say, let's take a break here before we get to the space station.
All right. Well, we'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes. Stick around. And we're back.
Hey. All right, so as we were last we left, I know you've seen us a few minutes, but the Adrastea has recently docked with the Velandrin space station Vigilance, and our crew is preparing to board the station.
As a point of order, I do want there to be security officers armed with both phaser rifles and whatever the Starfleet equivalent would be of a security baton, just be on the safe side. Also, since I did mention we were bringing Lurpas, I don't want to make the doctor carry them, but would you mind carrying the Lurpas?
I have a backpack that's just filled with medical supplies in case, focusing on small arms and cutting weapons.
Also, microphone down.
I have a backpack just filled with medical supplies to take care of injuries from small arms and cutting weapons.
Awesome. And then a quorum, I'm assuming you're going to bring your engineering tricorder and the kit and the whole 9 yards.
And a phaser, because you want phasers everywhere.
I mean, this is true. I did say that.
Yeah.
But curiously, Captain Ash doesn't take a phaser, at least not one like a Type 2. She does have a Type 1 hidden on her person, but not a visible weapon of any kind.
Interesting. Okay. So you are greeted by one of your security officers, a Saurian, Lieutenant Cletus. And he is carrying all of the Lurpae.
Nice to meet you, Cletus.
Captain.
Now, do you want help carrying those?
I believe I have them all.
Wonderful. Let me know if that changes.
You will know because I will drop one.
Well, I'm hoping you would tell me before it comes to that.
One can hope.
What color shirt is he wearing? Out of character?
He is wearing a gold shirt.
Ash snickers to herself, but doesn't comment. All right, well, let's go and meet our illustrious hosts.
All right. So the airlock opens and you're greeted by a somewhat dark hallway. The metal is kind of a greenish tint as you start walking down. You're not greeted by anyone. It's just kind of an empty hallway, just kind of leading down to a set of rather large doors.
All right. Without using my tricorder, if this affects anything, can I, using my natural senses and acumen as a security officer before being a captain, could I see if there's anything I should be aware of?
You don't notice anything out of the ordinary for a space station. As you pass like a couple intersections of hallways, you do see a little bit further down, you see some guards. They're not approaching you, they're not doing anything, but they are just kind of standing a bit of a ways off, a couple, like 10 meters or so.
I guess I silently note them, but I don't point them out. I guess we go to the double doors, ? Unless anybody has a reason to stop.
Okay. So you approach the double doors, and they swing open. They're not sliding. This is like almost like an old school medieval great hall. And it's rather large. It's still very dim. Keep in mind, if you remember, I know this isn't the happiest memory, but if you remember Nemesis, it's kind of a large room with a large staircase leading up to some ornate windows. It's clear that this room has been designed, at least to your eye, as a method of intimidating visitors.
Do the doors swing in to the chamber, or do they swing out?
They swing in.
Sir, I don't know if you noticed, but that is a fire hazard.
Somehow I don't think that they have the same fire code as us, but I'll keep that in mind.
Something for the threat assessment.
You see Cletus kind of look around a little nervously.
Steady there, Cletus. I'm sure we'll find a receptacle for those lurpers shortly.
And besides, the fire would be the least of our problems to worry about.
What other problems? So you see two people standing in the middle of the stairway, and they're coming down to meet you. And the lights kind of slowly come up. So basically when the doors opened, they were already walking down the steps. So they were clearly watching you and timed this to be dramatic. The larger one steps closer into the light where you can see them better. And you see that these are two female Velandrin. As you remember, this is a matriarchal society. So the middle one says, "Greetings, Captain. I'm Premier Betrana."
Just actually write that physically down. Betrana, you said?
Betrana.
Betrana.
Betra-NA.
Okay. Can you put that in chat just for also...
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And it was Premier, right? I didn't mishear?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Okay.
Premier.
All right, thank you. So, once I hear that, I stop our delegation. I guess I look up at them because they're coming down a staircase. And in a gesture that is meant to be half intimidating, half welcoming, I sort of sweep my arms wide and go, "Thank you for receiving us, Premier. Might I say that you have quite the interesting space station here."
We are rather proud of our space station vigilance.
Hmm.
But Captain, I will be blunt. Why have you returned?
2 reasons. One, we want to make sure that we leave a good first impression. Well, I guess technically second impression. We're not in the habit of making enemies out in the frontier where we want to explore. And since you are one of the closest habitable species near our, shall we say, gateway to this realm of space, we want to make sure that we're not entering into a hostile area.
The other Velandrin next to Betrana hisses. They are lizards. Goes, Federation Captain lies. They are only here to take our territory.
Well, you see, that's funny because according to my good chief here, I motion at a quorum, what we've already detected of your satellite array, your fighters, even this grand station, if we really wanted to, we could decimate it within a moment's notice. But again, this is a gesture of goodwill. We'll be happy to fight you if you want, but I was hoping I wouldn't have to use these, and I point at Cletus's Lurpas.
Are these your ceremonial weapons?
Oh, they're not just ceremonial, they're quite functional as well. Would you like a demonstration?
I would.
I motion to Cletus to hand me a Lurpa.
He awkwardly kind of picks one up from the pile and reaches it over to you.
All right. Now, I don't know that there's such thing as a Vulcan Lurpa dance, but I would like to give my best effort at one.
All right. All right. How am I gonna have you roll this one? Let's do
maybe a present security.
let's do a present security.
All right.
Almost, unless you want to do daring.
I mean, it's basically the same thing for me.
Okay. So one of those, and I'm actually going to use
that threat. Go for it.
I'm going to
Spend
use
that threat.
2 threat to make it a difficulty of 3.
Difficulty of 3. Okay. Would you give me hand-to-hand focus or hand-to-hand combat as a focus?
I would, yes.
Excellent. I am, if it's all right with everybody, I would actually like to spend 3 momentum here.
All right.
And let's see, using a focus, rolling 4 dice total. Here we go. 3 successes.
All right, you hit it. So you are able to do a very graceful sort of interpretation of basically forms of arms with a Vulcan Lurpa. You're not terribly familiar with how the Vulcans do it, but what do the Velandrins know? So it's quite the impressive show. And Betrana goes, "That is very good, Captain."
I'm sure my friend here, Commander Dr. Vela, could do a much better display. They are the weapons of his people, but I make do with what I can.
You do not have universal weapons for your people.
Well, no, as part of the Federation, we come from many member worlds, over 200 in fact.
And these member worlds, they voluntarily join your Federation?
That is correct. Though I will say that we're still working on the Klingons, though the Klingons are probably going to take a few more centuries before they join us.
What are these Klingons?
I turn to Commander Dr. Velik and say, Doctor, would you care to explain?
I take out my tricorder and call up a little hologram display of a Klingon. They are a warrior race in the area space from which the majority of our planets hail. They had their own small empire. We have been engaged numerous times against the Federation and several times with the Federation against common foes.
I would like to meet some of these Klingons at a later point.
We'll have to send a delegation so that they come with you.
I would look forward to that. And at this point, Sora, the other being, pipes up again. It's like, this Starfleet is no good. You know the prophecies. They will destroy us.
I looked at the Commander Dr. Velik, I look at Commander Akorum, and then I do the Vulcan eye raise. Or eyebrow raise. Prophecy, you say?
Yes, Captain. Betrana looks disapprovingly at the other individual. As General Soriji points out, there are prophecies among my people that the Federation will herald the destruction of Velandria. And so your arrival is met with hesitance, to say the least.
So if I understand the situation correctly, and I look at a quorum, so quorum, you can jump in at any point. If I understand the situation correctly, you built all of this, the space station, the fighters, the satellite array, all because of the prophecy that we would destroy your world.
Basically, yes.
I see. And to your credit, were we not the peace-loving but still capable warriors, I could understand your trepidation. There are those when we make first contact that see us as conquerors, as, I don't know, Quorum, what would you call us?
Now, explorers, diplomats.
That is an interesting description. We are not much for exploration. But, at this point, Sora G, the general, and if you want that name, I will toss it in chat as well. Pipes up and says, pipes up and says, well, if they are explorers, Premier, perhaps they would have interest in seeing the Oracle, where the prophecies are made.
I'm very familiar with oracles and prophecies.
Soraji looks at you with her eyes very narrow. Are you now? Tell me, do your people have prophecies?
They do.
Indeed.
And oracles.
You see her lizard eyebrows kind of raise. You have oracles?
Yes.
Interesting. Perhaps there is more to this Federation, but I still do not trust you.
We haven't earned any trust.
Of course not.
You'd be stupid to trust us.
Thank you for that assessment. And Betrana looks at Soraji, looks at the captain, and says, that is an excellent idea. Captain, would you like to see the Oracle?
If you would be so willing, yes. Though, perhaps I should give my good officer here a bit of a relief. Where can we leave these Lurpas as our gift?
And she gestures, and a male Velandrin enters the room and just kind of picks up all of the Lurpa from Cletus, and then just kind of walks away.
All right, as a point of order, I keep my Lurpa, just as a point of order.
Okay. Betranob makes note of that, but makes no comment.
And then I just sort of motion at the Premier, please, lead on.
Very well. Soraji, you will remain here. Your rudeness does not permit you to remain in my presence. And Soraji kind of steps away. So Soraji leads you out the main doors to the left, down another hallway, and you enter a not huge, but it's larger than a Starfleet transporter room. It's round, kind of with a dome, and there's lots of symbols and pictographs carved around the walls, even though like this is metal. And in the center of the room, there is a very realistic statue of a Velandrin with arms held above her head, holding a glowing pyramid around what appears to be a transporter pad.
This doesn't look at all familiar to me, right?
No.
Okay.
Now, point of order, when you say glowing pyramid, are we talking like an Egyptian pyramid, or are we talking like Illuminati pyramid? Because those are two very different things.
Egyptian pyramid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the symbols on the wall, I'm assuming our tricorders don't translate?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
You haven't had enough interaction with the symbols and their writing to be able to have the universal translator quite make it out.
Okay.
Now, it looks like a transporter. While we're scanning, have transports or similar things occurred in this room, or was that literally just a descriptive thing to describe how the room looks?
Both. So yes, transports appear to have taken place in this room. It is since they had 23rd century level technology, it's reasonable to assume that this is a transporter room. It's just laid out very differently than what you're used to.
Well, this is a transporter room.
Well, Premier, are we journeying down to the planet?
Yes, we are journeying down below the capital city. And so you all step onto the pad, I assume?
Yep.
Okay. So you all step onto the pad, and Betrona looks at you, Captain, then faces the pyramid and says, "Room, take us to the Oracle." And there's a flash of white light, and then you are in a cave.
Do we need to start telling a cave story?
I think the cave's going to tell us stories.
You cannot leave until you tell all of the stories. So you're at the mouth of this cave, basically. So behind you is, you can see out. There's vegetation. It's in mountains. It's a little chilly. But below you see like this gravel. But the gravel doesn't appear to be like normal rocks. It's a little bit shinier than normal. And Akorum, if you pick it up, there is it appears to be tritanium, which you would note from your scans. Tritanium is not native to this planet.
Yeah, is this a crashed ship?
Maybe. You don't see anything yet. You just see...
Right. I make a note of it. I make a mental note of it.
Okay.
And that's just to let you know where my head is going. Why? There's hull metal all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. All right. Sorry. I was reading something. So you start to go down into the into this cave. And Betrana says, "This, Captain, is the Oracle, the source of our knowledge. So everything that you see that we have built, silithium mining, the antimatter power core, and the satellites, they all come from here. In the dark times, when my people descended to combat with clubs and spears, we found this place, and eventually our people found a way." And as you continue walking, you you start to see like metal that's like poking out of the walls.
Is this a straight shot from the entry?
It is not.
Into okay.
No, it kind of curves around. So you have wall, and then a metal is sticking out of it. There's kind of like big chunks of that. And so you start to walk down this kind of basically a stone ramp. And you see hang on. Sorry, my notes are a little disorganized. You see a rather large wall, and you see a shadow come out from underneath one of these. There seems to be like a doorway. It's a little roundish, and as you approach, you hear a voice say, "Ah, it's about time the Federation got here."
Is that in standard?
Or it is in standard, and as he steps out of this, you get a little bit more light coming onto him, and he is wearing it's not what you would recognize as the normal one, but you see a blue Starfleet uniform.
What species?
Human.
Black badge or regular badge?
Regular badge.
Had to check.
Yep.
What? How similar is the uniform to our uniforms?
I will tell you that just out of character, because this is the easiest way to explain it. You guys are wearing this uniform, the TNG films. What you are seeing is the uniform from All Good Things. So solid blue with a black line across it and a gold comm badge. No rank pips.
That was my next question. So I guess once we see and hear all this, Captain Ash just sort of comes to a stop, kind of plants the blunt end of the lurper on the ground and says, "Well, that's interesting. We didn't expect to run into a human down here. I don't suppose you've been here long?"
"I have been here 640 years, Captain. I am the Oracle."
I see. Do you have another name or just the Oracle?
No.
I'm gonna see if this is. I mean, I'm no doctor, but I could probably I could probably try and tell the difference between biology and technology with my engineering tricorder.
Yes, you can. I'll give you that difficulty of 0, insight and engineering.
Could the doctor assist? Because we could use momentum.
Sure.
Just what I was getting ready to say.
Go for it.
Or would you rather roll this, Doc? You could just ask the opposite question. Is this biology or technology?
Yeah. Reason medicine?
Sure.
Insight?
Mm-hmm.
I'll assist you with insight.
All right. And we have 1, so I will use 1 die.
You mean one momentum or
Momentum. Check for a die.
Well, it's just a diff 0, right? This is a
diff 0?
momentum generator.
I won't use it. I'll just use my normal 2. So we're going to use difficulty 2. And boom.
Are you sure?
It's totally alive for real.
However, No, I didn't use momentum, so I don't do cautious medicine.
Nope.
Rip.
Oh
Yep.
boy.
Yep, we got it.
It seems
There's
to
a
be
jamming
alive.
field in place.
Well, actually,
Oh no.
yes, your tricorder does not seem to be functioning particularly well.
We might have to get your crew to double check the tricorders. They don't seem to be working properly.
Are you tapping your comm badge at this time? Check with the ship.
No.
Okay.
So Ash is going to get a little bit like she's not going to walk past the premiere because she hasn't been given permission to precede the premiere.
Mhm.
But we'll step just closer and kind of lean in and squint, like leaning on the Lurpa as if an old crone kind of a thing.
Right.
Is this a hologram?
Yes, it is a hologram.
So as I make that determination, I stand back up and I say, well, it's interesting seeing a hologram down here. Can you identify what ship you're coming from?
And he points behind him to the left, and you see, in faded letters, but the standard Starfleet font, NCV 83124, U.S.S. Oracle.
Well, seems the situation here on Velandria just got a lot more interesting.
We are third contact.
I'm not familiar with that registration structure, or am I?
You are not.
I'm not familiar with that registration structure. I say out loud.
Okay. Of course not. This ship came from the year 2402.
Now, this is just supposition on my part, but temporal anomaly, breakdown of transwarp. How did you get here?
You see him like twitch a little bit. The Oracle arrived here after the Battle of Velandria. Unable to access further information, database corruption is extensive.
What's the status of Oracle?
Oracle is damaged greatly. It is currently fused to the rock.
I turn to the Premier. Well, Premier, I believe I have an explanation as to how this Oracle arrived and an understanding of why you might think we're here to destroy you, but tell me, when did you first discover the Oracle? You said that you did discover them, if I heard correctly.
We did. We discovered them about 600 years ago.
That would line up with how long the ship has been here. Well, I will be the first to tell you that if my understanding of the situation is correct, what we have here is a crashed ship from our future, a potential future, and that this Battle of Velandria doesn't necessarily mean that the Federation is attacking you. What it could mean is that some external force has moved into your space and we have moved to assist. My understanding, just looking at how the hologram is responding and motion around at the fused metal, how the ship is integrated itself into your cave network, we would have to do some in-depth engineering work with your permission to understand what actually has occurred here.
If the Oracle permits it, I will allow it.
I turn to the Oracle. Oracle, would you permit an engineering team to assist and look over your systems?
But of course, Captain. I have been waiting for Federation retrieval.
Very good. Commander Akorum, please see that you work with the Premier here. but I would like a full engineering team beam down at your permission or premiere to basically get a hands-on and quick overview of what we're dealing with.
Of course.
Now it's time to contact the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Your comm badge, futzes.
Commander, that didn't sound like a good noise.
It's not a good noise, though. With the chief touching my various equipment, I'd recommend you try yours there, sir. She hadn't had a chance to mess with it yet.
I try my comm badge.
It also makes the same noise. Oracle raises a hand.
I was gonna say,
Oracle, what is this? Yeah.
Are you aware of a jamming field?
There is interference in these mountains, Captain. Otherwise, my temporal transponders would have allowed me to be retrieved to the future long ago.
So we're going to have to
Those are
hoof it back
things
out.
that exist.
Well, I mean, it's standard.
They are standard Federation technology.
Is your short range communication system functioning? Could you communicate with a ship in orbit, for example?
It is not.
Well, it looks like we have to walk.
Are your temporal transponders still operational?
They are operational, but they are being blocked at the moment.
Has it been this way since you crashed, or did the blocking come into play after?
It has been in place since I have arrived.
Well, seems we've got a bit of trip back and forth here.
How about I get started, sir?
Please do.
I'm going to ask Oracle what this current status of the ship is, and since Oracle is a hologram, hopefully Oracle can project.
Okay. Would you like that displayed graphically?
Please. My tricorder is not working very well. The interference and all that.
Ah, of course. And a new hologram kind of appears in front of him that shows the layout of the ship. It is not a ship construction that you recognize at all. But there appear to be large sections of the ship marked in red.
Mm-hmm.
And about 75% of the saucer is missing. The nacelles are in other parts of this cave system. And it's rather crumpled, and there's substantial damage to the computer core. The engines are non-operational except for basic fusion cores. So there's not a lot working.
What do I think the best option or the best outcome here is?
The best outcome is the only functioning thing appears to be this hologram here. So if you're able to locate where he is stored, you might be able to retrieve him and repair him.
Does it appear that I wouldn't be able to tell? Are you stored in the primary computer cores, or do you have a separate nexus of operation?
I am stored in a node in the central computer core. It is removable. Would you like me to take you there?
Yes, please.
Of course. And so Oracle is going to be taking you further into the wreckage of the ship, to what is left of the Oracle's computer core. Is there anything that Dr. Captain you would like to do at this moment?
Is it possible to talk to the captain outside of the hearing of the Velandrians?
Yes, you are able to step away from Betrana and her entourage.
While the hologram is engaged with our chief engineer, Sir, thing to think about, if we bring the ship out, its temporal nodes will be exposed away from the interference, which could cause its temporal retrieval.
My thoughts exactly. If we're not careful about this, it will be transported back to the future and potentially change the entire developmental structure of the Velandrians.
My thoughts.
Now, I do also have a concern that when Commander Akorum retrieves the hologram, that the locals might not see that very favorably.
Oh, that's why Commander Akorum is not going to retrieve the hologram. He's just going to go and look at it.
I know, but Ash doesn't know that.
I mean, could you imagine if he breaks it while he's down there?
Indeed. Which
It's
professional
giving me a
opinion,
bad
Doctor?
rap.
Professional opinion, Doctor. Do you think giving myself over as a quote-unquote hostage would keep the Velandrians happy?
I personally would advise against it. I don't know much that will keep them happy. Well, what was the term I heard earlier? Futz around?
That is a word we have used today. Well, we'll just sort of play it by ear and see what happens.
I am disappointed. I haven't been able to use any of the first aid equipment I have brought with me so far.
Nah, I'm not going to do that. And then again, I just sort of pat your shoulder and we return to the entourage.
There is still time.
So Betrona looks at you and, is there anything that you further require, Captain?
Well, I don't know what kind of security you wish to place on my engineers as they come in and out of here, but I am curious to see more parts of your culture where you hold celebrations. What sort of food do you eat? That sort of thing.
I would be more than happy to engage in those conversations. But first, I would like your opinion. Outside of thinking that this is a crashed ship, you seem to have a lot of interest in the Oracle. May I inquire as to why? Outside of the fact that it has aided my culture in its growth.
Well, there's a few answers to that. The most honest one I can tell you is that as part of our mission of explorers and I guess you would call us relief efforts, we are, as part of our directives, more or less mandated to respond to any crashed vessel that puts out a distress call. Now, the Oracle has indicated that it is in some form of distress, so we are almost obligated to determine what went wrong and if we can lend any assistance.
The Oracle is requesting your aid.
That would be my understanding, yes.
Well, if the Oracle is asking for your assistance, who am I to argue with it? Do whatever the Oracle asks you.
Internally, Ash is screaming, but externally, she's like, yes, of course.
Screaming happy scream or
Yes.
just aggravation?
Yes, both.
Do whatever the Oracle asks.
That's a loaded statement.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lord. And then, Peter, since we are coming up to that time, do you think
Yep.
this is a good break point?
Yeah, one last thing.
One last thing? All right.
So as you make that statement, you hear kind of a whooshing sound, and you hear footsteps as a male Velandrin kind of runs into the cave, and runs up to Betrona and says, "Premier, there are soldiers coming with weapons. They seem to have ill intent." And that is where I'm going to leave it.
Well done. And yeah, this will obviously be a 2 or 3-parter. We'll find out together. But I do want to give a quick shout out to Peter. My understanding of this is your first streamed GMing, so well done there. Doing an excellent job. But yeah, my understanding is that next week might be a little bit iffy because Peter's going to be doing some in real life stuff around Halloween, so we'll play it by ear. But one way or another, we will be returning to the Adrastea in the future. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. And YouTube, this is where we'll say goodbye. Bye, YouTube.